sorry about that. That's kind of the thing. So I have a broken microphone. And last night I was on the live stream and I was getting excited showing well, my shirt off because I had airbrushed my shirt, and I bumped the USB plug and the USB piece broke off inside my microphone. And this is a centerpiece of my streaming gadget set up here. So it's very important that I get this up and running again. And also, this is an opportunity to do like a rehearsal of live streaming here. So hopefully I can kill two birds with one stone, do some live streaming practice, and fix the very needed microphone in order to keep streaming. I hope my audio is okay. If I look at the levels, it seems like I'm not peaking, but I'm not too low either. So I've already disassembled it. And maybe what I would like to do is get a microscope out here so that I'm not making any mistakes. It is early in the day, and my eyes should be pretty dependable. What's going on there? Let's bring in the microscope. Can we do that? USB camera, virtual camera, no. I know I have a Okay, yeah, you know what? I thought I fixed my audio, but then the audio had to also be fixed on my other thing. So thank you, Anthony, for pointing that out. Um, but yes, ultimately, this is a issue I'm having with my microphone, and we are doing microphone repair. That's what we're doing today. Is microphone repair. And what I have here is a chopstick pushing out that old solder in there. Hopefully, got a little bit out. Let's have a look here. Like it pushed it out a little bit. I think I got some of it out. And I was probably mentioning, but nobody could hear, is that I have a desoldering gun, like it's a vacuum desoldering thing. But I need a new nozzle for it because I jammed it last time I used it. What can I do? Let's just try using some desoldering wick and give her. Let's give her. So yeah, this is all a learning process. I gotta get used to looking at my levels and just like being naturally proficient at streaming. So yeah, I'm just heating it up. This is a piece of copper. The intention here is to suck up any solder using capillary action. And I'm just gonna add some more solder here. Right, because if it's not touching solder, then there's nothing to initiate the capillary reaction. But looking at this is very dirty. Let's heat that up for a moment because I doubt it's going to mix in with solder. And as you can see, the other ones are melting as well, right? That's kind of what I want to make sure. It's grabbing that solder there. It's grabbing that pad. And we have a clean hole. We have a clean hole. We have a clean hole. Let's do that again. Yeah, so the trick here was flux, of course, because that's like, again, cooking without oil. And mixing some fresh solder in with that cruddy, brittle solder, then adding a sufficient amount of heat because that pad was particularly connected to ground, which goes around the entirety of the circuit board. Like the whole circuit board is connected to ground in some place or another, right? Especially, you know, it's this type of thing that's going to suck a lot of heat as well. So yeah, that turned out pretty clean, did it? Did I get everything? Not completely. Not completely. So let's just clean that pad off a little bit. Some more focus on those holes. But those pads at the end, that needs to be cleaned off a little bit more. Is that okay? No, I missed a spot. Oh, you know what? That's not solder. That's actually the pad that has been ripped up a little bit there on those corners. So yeah, it's just the pad separated from the board when the plug initially got ripped out. Let's see if I can check my comments. Ah, Anthony can hear. Thank you, Anthony. Yes, that's another thing. I got to be able to figure out how I can check my comments as well. Anthony can hear, but my microphone is yet to be fixed. Okay, that's how I can watch my stream messages. I would like to have it on screen as well. That would be a lot better because I'm watching the screen as it is. So now we do another cleaning with some alcohol, getting that circuit board nice and surly. But I don't want to get it covered in cotton because that's just extra cleaning after the fact. So I'll try to avoid that cotton getting caught on anything. Very difficult when everything's so pointy here. My surly microphone. This is some background noise. Nice. You know, that reminds me, I was going to put on some background noise myself and see how that pans out, because I had contacted a musician and he said I could use some of his work, and I made a playlist. So here it is. Hope this is not too loud. You know what? I'm going to turn it down so nothing gets blasted here. Wait, yeah, that's what I wanted. Let's go. Let's go. Hope that's a good level. Count out for me too. Sweet. Okay. Now this is fun. So next we're going to clean up the USB itself. And that seems a little bit brittle. And it's going to be kind of hard to fold. I'm sure I'm going to work this one out, but I guess it doesn't really matter. What we do is just solder it up, and we'll just use that fresh solder and roll with it. So that pad that's stuck to the USB port has to come off. Let's see if I can just slide it off with the soldering iron. It's probably a better idea, because solder fumes aren't great. It's not going to kill me, but like, the less I breathe, the better. this kind of thing. So that's pretty much what I wanted there. It's coming clean, and I'll use my very fine soldering iron to get right in there and solder those by hand. I don't want to heat up the whole vicinity, which is what they did at the factory. Is like they pretty much melted the whole border, did it all one shot. But there are some plastic components inside this USB plug which I want to avoid melting, and I think I've managed to get it where I wanted it. Now we can go ahead with placing it in there. To clean those arms off, but I think I'll be alright. Will I? I got a call. Okay. Okay, so this one seems to go in there, and I want to make sure the pads are as close as possible to that circuit board so that you don't have to add too much solder. If they're touching, that's ideal. So there we go. Let's give it a little pokey pokies. I mean, that's pretty damn close to the circuit board. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to manage. Again, capillary action or surface tension will grab those pins as soon as I introduce some solder in there. So at this stage, well, I'm almost done. I don't really need much more than just getting that side pin in, solder down, and then I could start on actually those data pins. Okay, that's a hold. Not bad, not bad. That's probably too much flex. It's not easy to get to. Like, I mean, that must be fine. checking if it's still relatively flat. Which it isn't, but that's fine. We're off by like a fraction of a degree. Oh, and look at that, it's moving, so that tells me that didn't work. So yeah, I got solder on the thing but not on the board itself. Let's just try giving her like this. Yeah, that got it. Okay, just tack it in for now, we'll get the other side. We'll come back to it if necessary. How's the angle here? Decent. Inland China, beachy. It's not moving, so. Oh dear. Hope I didn't make a mess of that. You know what, I'll come back to that with the more sharper soldering tip. But visually that seems to be soldered. There's no way to tell because this side's already tapped it. I'm not going to start jiggling around now. But I'm feeling confident. Yeah, I'm going to say it's good. Now, if I poke this big soldering iron in there, I am no doubt going to damage something. Not going to do that. So, since I'm kind of on a roll, I'm just going to switch out my soldering iron and finish this up as quick as possible. Oh, here it is. So this is another JBL soldering station I have. This one has some much finer tips. Well, you know, I can get some fine tips for the other one too, but this one has a little bit more delicate needles, handles. I do this. Okay, we're plugged in, locked and loaded. So let's go back to this and find a good angle we can work with. Not bad, no? flux in there. Make sure that'll spread itself around. Now, I don't know whether to use the chisel tip or the pincers, but let's just go with the chisel tip and see how this fares. The left one I'm pretty sure is ground. I should clean this one off actually. The left one should be ground. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, that's going to need a little bit extra heat. Boy. Ah, that's exactly what I didn't want to touch the top there. There we go. Put it on. There's not much heat coming from the tip itself. Oh, that's some solder there. That's stuck there now. Yeah, let's see if I can move that along. A bit too much solder there. So I bridged those two pins, which is no fun. We can fix that. I think that fixed it, right? Let's have a peek. Yeah, those look really nicely soldered there. Very happy with that. So although I didn't get the pads underneath the housing itself onto the circuit board, those side anchors should be fine. The one on either side here. That's nicely soldered. Provided I didn't get any solder inside this housing, which would interfere with the plug itself. Okay, let's see what happens. Do I assemble it first, or do I just give her a plug-in? Let's just give her a plug-in. Oh, there's no LEDs on this, so yeah, let's put it into the housing. Let's see how that turns on. But real quick, I'm gonna plug it in here, just to make sure it fits. It is tight. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Satisfying. No damage. Looks clear. Okay, let's just give it some alcohol and put it back together. So I'm sure this is still under warranty, but I don't want to be bothered to send it back, go through Amazon and all that. So that seems clean. You've got mail. I remember bringing AOL discs to my grandmother's place here in Mississauga, actually in this building she used to live. And I used to log on, and because it was limited how much stuff you can get, like I would use multiple discs. Yeah, it eventually became limited. There was a time it was like unlimited, but because this is like Mississauga, the discs that were distributed here, well, I was in Sudbury and I was still getting those unlimited discs up north. So yeah, I would bring some unlimited discs and download some mouse cursors and audio clips. And I remember it used to take so long. Sometimes it would take like an hour to download a handful of audio clips. Wave files, just sound wave, Ravage, Ejax, and I would use it for like my Windows sound effects, like my just prompts or whatever. So if like too many things at once are happening on my computer, it kind of like play out a scene from the Transformers. That was excessive but fun. I was wondering where that blue stuff came from. It came from right on the USB plug. Okay, so I think we're cleaned up and happy. Turn this off, get this out of the way so I have some room to reassemble my microphone. Check, check, check. Okay, still working, great. Yeah, so the next step is to get the pieces together. So this one, and then inside here is a ribbon cable. This is kind of tough to deal with. Also, it's tough to film. I wish I had another camera that I could like do a hands cam, because this microphone is too up close. So presumably, like there's some holes in the back here, and this one slides in. There's also some clips on the side here, which are very cool. Actually, I should take a quick look at this. What kind of chip are we dealing with? Because this is actually quite fascinating to me. I love figuring out what kind of technology is behind these components, because I could literally make one at home. Like, there's nothing stopping me from copying the circuitry, at least. Like the programming, okay, whatever, that's its own proprietary thing. But this is a CY8 C4248. CY8 C4248. Is that LTI? LTI. Let's see if this brings me. So this is going to be Infiniton Technologies. So this is a thing being sold from DigiKey. There's like a development kit I can get for this. Now, if I go to Mouser and check the data sheet, let's find out more about this. Okay, yeah, so that's a very fascinating chip, this big guy here. This is basically the heart of the thing, it seems like. There's no other big chip like this, and I'm not going to take the shielding off the other side, just because I don't really need to go in there. So this is an ARM microcontroller. So this is actually, there's a lot of programming here, so it's not like I can just copy this. That's a large 256 kilobyte flash memory, so that's a substantial amount of proprietary firmware. Cool. So it's based around this microcontroller, ARM microcontroller. That's very cool. That's very cool. So to tell you the truth, like this analog technology is fairly straightforward, but they have their own proprietary high-tech stuff going in the middle there that's able to manipulate all kinds of sounds that's coming out. Very cool, very cool. The digital age. I'm learning to appreciate it. So this one is going to be difficult to connect this ribbon cable. Maybe I could do it on a microscope here. Can I? So in this goes. Oy vey. There. Okay, so here now it's kind of stuck at the clips. We've got to send these clips in, but at the same time make sure it's going into the holes, which it is. Great. Now the difficult part is this clip here, which I'm going to try and demonstrate with this chopstick. So this one has to flip up. That ribbon cable goes in, and that clips down. No time to get tweezers. That's definitely not straight. That looks straight. Is it in? Not sure. Only one way to find out. Just clip her in. No, that's not straight. That's straight. Not sure if it's making contact or if it's in there all the way, but we will figure that out after. Oh, you know what? I forgot a huge thing. I have to solder these wires back for the microphone itself. Okay, well, that was just a rehearsal. We'll get this out and try again after. So I forgot that the microphone itself actually has to go back because I took that out for ease of access. Now, do I remember where it went? There was an indicator here that said green. It's not super important to be clean, but it's a nice piece of hardware. I'd like to have it clean all the way through. So green and G/R. So the green was the green wire, and then the G/R was the yellow wire. So that shouldn't be too difficult. I'm not going to fuss too much about that existing solder. I'm just going to, maybe I'll just add some fresh solder a little bit. That couldn't hurt. Added fresh solder and remove said fresh solder. This way I could just pop those things, the wires through and solder it like that. That's great. It works. So I've added a little flux to the circuit board. Also going to add a little bit of flux just to the tip of this wire. Just using the most minimal amount of flux, but I'm putting it right where it needs it. Okay, green and green, right? Yeah, let's do this. How am I going to do this? Actually, let me think about it. Okay, that microphone has stayed in place. No fuss. Can I get it? There we go. What? Come on. What? Dude. Looks good. Right? It's good to me. Let's go. We'll give it a little bit of flux clean there, and then assembly. Great. Right, let's go back to trying to assemble this guy. Okay, now for the clips on the sides. Okay, I think that does it. Just gonna line these up. Yeah, so there's some screws in the top that I'm just gonna get in. Can't see it under the microscope, it seems. guess we're done with the microscope. Let's just go back to face cam. This is all we got right now. So I could feel the power of the magnet from my screwdriver right into the microphone. Okay, unfortunately I'm missing a screw. Here we go. So it's nice they put these ones are hex screws and the other ones are on the back are just Phillips screws. They may have as well have gone with hex screws on the back, but I appreciate that they're not putting just Phillips screws on the front to invite people to open these things up, because they're definitely delicate technology in here. Everything's lined up on the back, and I'm just going to pop those screws in with my better screwdriver. So these screws in the back, this is just to mount that XLR plug, because you don't want any force to be on the circuit board. I just pushed it right in there. I don't know if you noticed that, but it just plunged right into the casing when I pushed on the screw. Okay, that brought it back up. And yeah, you don't want to put force on the circuit board using the XLR, so these screws are basically holding that, and then there's nothing holding the USB. So that's exactly the problem with this design. Like, unfortunately, there isn't really robust USBs on the market, USB plugs. But this audio jack is robust, you know, like, but this goes way back. This type of you just screw the jack on there. I don't have a special screwdriver for this, which is what it needs. It's not like a nut. It's like one of those split screws. I have one, but it's not that wide. Anyways, it fit on there. Everything is presumably soldered in. I've worked up an appetite just doing this. How long have I been on? 25 minutes? No. I must have been on longer than that. Anyways. It's fixed. I think. Let's have a look here. Microphone out of the way. This was the culprit. Eh? So, you know what? I'm just going to give it more slack. Oh, that doesn't help, does it? Let's hope it doesn't fry. Oh, it works. I panicked because the lights didn't go on for a moment there. My audio cut out though, so let's fix this. Check, check. Check, check. Okay, check, check. Hey, we're back in business. All right. Yeah, thanks, Anthony. Fixed it. First try. It wasn't much to it. It's just putting the USB port back on. Fortunately, nothing was damaged. Loud and clear and smooth. This is happening. Great. So that was awesome. I hope I wasn't on for too long. And what time did I get on? Maybe an hour ago. That's great. That's great. I'm happy I got that fixed and got that out of the way. Yeah. Ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow's live stream at 8 p.m. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Yeah. See you on the message board, and I'll see you all tomorrow.